Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. I'm joined, as every week, by my beautiful American friend, Blake.
Damn it, I was going to try and use beautiful. Thank you, I'm happy to be here.
And yeah, what did we watch this week?
We watched the Sam Mendes film from 1999, American Beauty.
Yeah, and I think that this was my pick. I think we tend to joke a lot about. I tend to joke a lot about Magnolia, like being one of your favorite movies of your early formation years as a cinema lover. And
that's true. No shame.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that American Beauty is that for me. It's like I remember like when I went to the cinema to watch it and just being like, holy shit, this was good. And I was like just completely in love with Sam Mendes. I was like super excited for Road to Perdition when it released, But I don't know, it connected with me in a way that I didn't expect. I only watched it like a couple of times. I think that it's like one of those movies that I had the feeling that if I watch it too much, it will have lost its charm. So maybe the last time that I watched it was 15 years ago.
Did you see this in theaters?
Yep.
In 99?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I was in college, so I remember like just going with some friends.
It's weird that Kevin Spacey is supposed to be more or less... in the film, he's supposed to be 42, which is our age. That makes me deeply uncomfortable. I think I saw this film for the first time when I was probably in the year 2002. So not right when it came out, but pretty close.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Not that far. Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting, like, seeing a Kevin Spacey movie nowadays after everything that has happened, especially when he's a bit of a child molester.
I was struck by similarities between his real life interest in underage children and the story of this film. Well, why don't we get into this?
Yeah. Okay, so this, see, this is my pick. Do you want to summarize it?
I do. So this film follows Lester Burnham. He is, again, we just mentioned, I believe he's supposed to be 42 in this film based on something I found on the internet. So take that with a grain of salt. But I think he's supposed to be... He does? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be 42. He's in a job that's super depressing. He lives in... It has to be upper middle class suburbia, but they don't... Well, they do talk about, like, it is kind of about wealth a little bit. But he's in a life that he hates despite beauty being around him. He's married to Annette Benign, who is a woman who used to have joy in her life, we'll say, used to have something, but
she was
now
joyful
she's just,
and exciting.
She seems to be dead inside. She's obsessed with her, let's say, pathetic. She comes across as pathetic, but she's obsessed with her real estate career. She's obsessed with the idea of success or having the image of success. They have a daughter, which is, I don't even think she's supposed to be a real character. I think she's just supposed to represent what we felt in the 90s. A
stereotype of teenager.
Like, it's like, we don't fit in and we're proud. Like, that's what we we all got in the 90s.
Well, I think that she's pretty insecure, about it. One thing that I remember in the original movie, like the first time that I watched it, is that she's insecure about her bust.
Mm-hmm.
Her chest.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if she was doing she wanted to do like a surgery for increasing the size.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why. I remember like in the original movie they make a bigger deal out of it. And on this one is that they mention it twice. And that's it. So beyond that is that she's like the classic insecure girl, but she's friends with a popular, maybe, girl. A bit slutty. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So they have a daughter played by Thora Birch, who's the odd one out, and she has a very let's say, stereotypically attractive friend played by, what is that actress's name? I never remember it.
It's crap. What is the name? Mena Suvari.
Mena Suvari. What happened to her after 6 Feet Under season 4?
That was the last peak of her career. I don't know. Honestly, I think that she was like the classic like high school teenager star that after she
never. What a pity.
No.
I liked her. I don't think she's that talented, but I enjoyed seeing her on screen. I don't know why. So anyway, we see these. This is the kind of nuclear family we see, and Lester kind of basically goes into a midlife crisis after meeting his daughter's friend, played by Mena Suvari, and getting a weird, intensely sexual crush on her, and realizing he hates his life, and kind of just realizing that he's willing to burn his life to the ground, and we watch him do it. And we kind of watch his life collide with the neighbor's family that moves in next door. The neighbor's family is Allison Janney, who plays a almost mute victim of domestic violence. We don't know if it's physical violence, but absolutely emotional violence, we're guessing.
Well, I don't disagree with that part, but I also think that it's implied that she's suffering from Alzheimer or dementia, like early onset.
You think?
I think because this is a scene when the kid is coming back, the three of them are sitting on the sofa, and 30 seconds later is that the mother says that, wait, what did you say? They say, no, I didn't say anything. And also when the kid leaves at the end. So there are a couple of interactions that it feels is like she is not only like muted by violence, I think that there is something else.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but now that you pointed out, yeah, probably. She's married to Chris Cooper, who is a closeted Nazi, and they have a very he is weird for the 90s. They have a son who used to do drugs, and now he's a drug dealer, and he basically is weird in the same way that Thora Birch is weird, and they strike up a relationship. And obviously, the way things are so imbalanced, everything has to come to a head, and it comes to a very, very intense, climax. And I want to leave it there, because if you still haven't seen the film, I do want to preserve the way this film's end, because it's still remarkable, even to this day, 6 years later. It's still good. Did I leave anything out that without spoiling anything?
No, I think that there are like several quotes on this movie that I don't know, but it's like they stuck with me since then. It's like for me, it's like when he's talking, and the movie is narrated from Kevin Spacey's character perspective, and he knows that he's going to die in a year. So he reflects like multiple times around life, around like the society around him, and happiness in itself. But like the idea of every morning I masturbate in the shower, and this is the happiest moment of my day. From here, everything goes downward. I remember like that one, it was like stuck on my brain, like the level of unhappiness of, yep, this is it. There is no improvement from here. And the other part is like with the video that the neighbor shows to the daughter with the bag like flying, and this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
that is beautiful, but also at the same time, it's like it has been parodied so much that I sing.
Yeah, and that was a big part of their marketing push, was look at how conceptual and then nebulous this film is. And it works. It does. But take it out of context, it looks kind of...
Yeah. I mean, it does, but also at the same time, it's like every character... Sorry, I think that now we're like just like moving into talking about the movie.
Which is fine. I think it's summarized.
Yeah. I think the movie is about like how everyone tries to find a different type of beauty around them, and the definition of beauty that they have, like the pursuit that they're doing, because all of the characters, they actually have a development arc associated with them that I really love of this movie. There's like all of them are at different points at the end that they were at the beginning. Is that all of them, they have progression, except the Allison Janney.
God, her character just kills me.
Yep.
that true? I wish I remembered all these characters' names. I guess there's not, besides Lester, there's not a huge focus on names. But Chris Cooper's character doesn't really have progression.
Well, I mean, he comes to a point of trying. Well, you said that you don't want to talk about the ending, so let's just leave it there. But let's say that he progresses too.
Okay, all right. I see your point. I could see that. They all progress at least somewhat. I get it.
Yeah. And I think that that's like a gesture of, hey, this is a good script.
I do find, so the script is by Alan Ball, and I do find that I'm a fanboy. Let's just be very, very clear about that. Like, I love Alan Ball. 6 Feet Under is very important to me. But, like, the way he was able to dissect the American psyche, I think, is particularly remarkable in the late 90s. But the way that, like, I just feel the way things are today, he basically predicted all of this. Like, this is the way society is now. Like, rich, angry white people in suburbia, like, worshiping Nazi memorabilia and being angry and committing violence. And just, like, American suburbia is hateful Nazis 30 years. Killing gay people. Like,
yep.
It's disturbing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it has been for a very long time like this. The only thing is that now it has become, like, more predominant. There have been more of them.
At least in 1999, it was hidden, right? Like, people at least pretended to have a normal appearance. It's like that scene. I won't give away any spoilers, but there's a scene where Lester tells Chris Cooper, he says, "My marriage is just for show, to show that we're normal when we're anything but," right?
Yeah.
Like, at least we used to pretend. Now nobody pretends.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also important to Annette Benign's character. Is that for her, like, the idea of what is beautiful, what is normal, is about I have to have the perfect family, I have to have the perfect, like, marriage, I had to have, like, the perfect dinner room, I had to have, like, the perfect music with my dinner. I bet everyone freaking hates all of that. Is that for her, is that this is my idea of beauty. The husband is definitely not on the same page about it. And I think there is a bit more of the social pressure of, hey, you have to follow, like, specific patterns for just feeding into the beauty that is expected of you.
And would you say Lester's idea of beauty is basically his late teenage years, where he had freedom,
Yep.
It's not about fucking. To some extent it is, but it's more about that freedom to do what he wanted, to smoke weed, to have the muscle cars. And
Yep. And he goes to the burger place, so he's a bit more about, like, hey, for me, the beauty is that just, and it can be like a midlife crisis too, is that I want that. When I was, like, probably 19, 20 years old, I couldn't afford this car, but now I can afford it, and I can still, like, try to chase the cheerleader girl of my dreams.
I agree with you that the film is about each character finding their own definition of beauty, or striving to achieve their own definition of beauty, but there's something that it's almost like the David Lynch Blue Velvet. It's almost like, yeah, they each have their own definition, but there is an ugliness underneath each of their own definition of beauty, like an intense ugliness. And that ugliness is as unique as each of their own definitions of beauty. And that's what I find delightfully disturbing about this film. And also, I don't think we mentioned one time how hilarious this film is. It's so funny.
Yeah, the script is pretty good. It delivers, like, some jokes. I wouldn't call it like a comedy. It's a melodrama, let's say.
You wouldn't call this laugh out loud? There are several times where I laughed so hard.
I don't remember, like, just laughing out loud.
Maybe I just laughed, like, when Annette Benign is having sex and she asks the king to give her the royal treatment. That is so funny. Or when she's listening to her self-help tape and she's like, "I won't be a victim." That shit is hilarious.
Sure. I mean, it has some fun moments, but I would say that it's mostly a drama.
Yeah. I don't want to give the impression that it's like slapstick comedy at all, but it's
Yeah,
very funny in that Alan Ball sort of, this is
yeah,
serious and you'll feel uncomfortable, but you will also laugh.
yeah. What did you think of the acting?
I thought it was great. I was looking at the Oscars that it won. It kind of pulled almost exactly the same performance that Anora did. So it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Kevin Spacey, Best Screenplay, and Best Cinematography. But it lost. Annette Benning lost. And
Yeah.
honestly, looking at it now, I feel like Annette Bening probably should have won over Kevin Spacey. Like, I feel like Kevin Spacey's performance was a little,
Overacted.
yeah, and Annette Bening's
Yeah.
was overacted, but it works a
It
little
required
better.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Thora Birch cannot act, but she plays herself in every single movie, and so as long as she's cast as Thora Birch, it's fine. I think Chris
Yeah.
Cooper and what is her name? We've mentioned it like 90 times. His wife, the actress.
Oh, Alison Janney.
Allison Janney, yes. I think they're both remarkable, although Allison Janney isn't given much to do here.
Yeah. Yeah. The key is Wes Bentley. It's whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Chris Cooper, I find it like disturbing and menacing. That I think that is the point. I think that he does good. But yeah, with Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening, what I felt is that this is probably like a director choice of just making it a bit overact. And if I recall correctly, Sam Mendes comes from theater, and there is a bit
He
more
does.
of a decision from theater about like, hey, you need to exaggerate like everything a tiny bit more. It's not about like realism; it's about like transmitting.
Well, he comes from the West End, and I just saw a play directed by him in San Francisco last year.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, I agree that it's a direction choice, and you shouldn't go. There's not like realism here. It's almost like absurdist realism. Like it's
Yeah,
the whole film is over the like the script is over the top in a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over the top, but it doesn't get to to actually like how you say unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would say that Little Children is a bit more more believable than this. If we talk about like just like suburbia dramas, I would say that Little Children is probably more grounded in reality. The acting feels like more like a go for more realism,
Yeah.
and this a bit more is like we want like to mix almost like magic realism into it, like all of the dreamy scenes with with the roses, with the petals, is like yes, this about like idealizing beauty or just symbology of beauty, you know.
I was actually so there's a Thora Birch is a cheerleader in this film, and so is her friend Mena Suvari, however you say that. And the cheerleaders in this world of Alan Ball wrote and but didn't direct. The cheerleaders are just these like semi-depressed like brunette girls that just uninterestingly walk around the gym floor and do these moves kind of half-assedly, and that's fine, but like in the real world, cheerleaders are these blonde girls with so much energy and they run around, and it's like a very stylized choice, and I feel like that's like you're not going to see real cheerleaders. These are like Alan Ball cheerleaders, so like it's somewhat in reality, but it's not reality, and that's fine by me.
Yeah, but it's still it gives you like an idea about like how creepy Kevin Spacey's character is when he actually goes with the like, hey, you know, this is very tame for how hypersexualized cheerleaders usually are, but he actually goes into, oh, let's just imagine her like just pulling down her sweater, you know, that is like you are going there. You are actually using something that it could be like a bit more tame and just like putting it to the 11.
I will say that Kevin Spacey was able to very effectively creep me out when she touches his arm and he asks her if she likes muscles. And when she gets creeped out and leaves and his face turns from charming to upset that he was rejected, that switch on his face was so real that I imagined one of the boys that he was a predator to rejecting him and that happening, and I was like, fuck, okay, I believe him. That was kind of good acting. Well done.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good actor. I just feel like some of these expressions are over exaggerated. Like just getting almost to the absurd that you were describing earlier. It's about like, hey, look, is that you can get the same result only staring to her like for 1 second, but if you stare to her 5 seconds. And a bit more exaggerated, like expression. That is, yes, I get the point, but it's like just like trying to, like impress it on you. That's the only part that I feel is like, yeah, this is an interesting decision. I know what is coming from. I don't think that a movie like this would be made nowadays. I don't think that there is anything here that is like, oh my god, it's out of place. Probably not with Kevin Spacey, logically. But I think that those decisions of exaggerating and just driving it like close to the absurd line, I think that they will be revisited. This will be like more grounded in reality.
Yeah. I will say that I wanted my husband to watch this film with me because we both really like it. He chose not to, which is fine. But when I watched it and I later saw my husband, he's like, so what did you think? And I was like, God damn, does that film hold up? Like, holy crap! It just doesn't.
Yep.
It doesn't age at all. It holds up like nothing. It's incredible. This film, it's so good.
Yep. It's like my words at the end when it was finishing, and I was like, I'm not going to cry. When I was like just rolling like a tear. I was watching it with my boyfriend. He's like, oh, it hits you. And he's like, yeah, what I hate is like, I watched this movie more than once. I know how it plays out and it still hits me. Is that this is like a sign of, this is a good movie. This is like an honest to God good movie that I still think that it speaks in a way that is easy to connect with.
And even
you don't have to be American.
You don't have to be American, and despite the unpleasant, a lot of this film is really unpleasant. It's just such a pleasure to be in this world, even though it's such an unpleasant world. I just wanted to spend more time there, which is weird. These aren't nice people.
I mean, it's not happiness.
No, it's... Oh, well, I'm not going to lie. I was like, I kind of want to watch life during wartime after this. I don't know.
I'm fine with watching happiness again. The other one, well, maybe. But yeah, they belong to the same genre of they're like dancing on a line of, hey, what we're presenting is not okay, but it's a reflection of our reality. So just be here for the ride. I think the happiness goes further to just like making you feel discomfort from all characters. Is that this one is like, okay, some characters are lost, some characters are trying to figure themselves out, some characters are just jerks, and other ones are like just misguided. But they are not like playing assholes like in Happiness.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's obviously significant differences between the two, but for me personally, and I feel like people aren't going to understand this statement, but I just like being in Todd Solondz worlds in the same way that I like to be in the world created in American Beauty. So I don't know what that says about me. I'm a little bit afraid to figure out what that says about me, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we got other questions?
Yes, please.
Right, so Blake, would you watch American Beauty again?
Yes, I would, and honestly, I would watch it later this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe this time with your husband.
With my husband, I own 3 copies of this movie. I choose one of the ones I hadn't watched recently and just watch that one.
Yeah, just rotate it. Yeah, I would definitely watch it again. Maybe not in a week, but yeah, in a couple of months. It's like pretty easy to watch. How long is it? 2 hours?
I think it's surprisingly long. Surprising because it doesn't feel that long.
Yeah. So
2 hours and 2 minutes. It doesn't feel. Yeah. It feels like a 90-minute film tops.
Yeah, and I think that we both went through the same flow of we went to Amazon Prime to rent it, and we said that it's $1 more to buy it. And I remember that the last time that I said that, it was The Silence of the Lambs. That I think that it didn't age as well, But this one I was like a bit like hesitant about. I used to love it, so if it's only a fraction of what I remember, of how good I remember it was, I think that it'll be worth it. And when I was finishing watching, it's like, yeah, I'm happy that I bought it.
Yeah, that's fair. I always look at this like this is a tip on a beer. For a tip on a beer, I could own this.
Fair. Would you recommend American Beauty?
Yep, to anyone, even your
And
parents.
that's it. I would recommend it to my parents. I'm pretty sure that I recommended it to them when I watched it. There is the creepiness of Kevin Spacey, but I won't spoil like how that arc ends. I honestly liked it, like how it ended, like that arc.
But I think they, just speaking about his middle-aged inappropriate temptations, let's call it, he handles it remarkably, or no, let's say the filmmakers handle it remarkably well, and he experiences something that probably every middle-aged man experiences, and then he moves on, and that's fine. So everyone should be okay with that story.
Yep, like he basically realizes there is not so much about the infatuation with her, and it's a bit more about like reconnecting with him that he has forgotten like for such a long time.
Yep.
So, yep. Yeah, I would recommend it to everyone. Would you remember it?
Yes, I remembered a remarkable amount. So it had been years since I had seen this film, and I remembered most of it.
Yep. I remember, I would say like 90%. Like all of the story beats, I remember all of them. I didn't remember like Alison Janney character, to be fair, but I remember like the key parts of they moving into the house, the kid being this, the father being this, Lester being that. I didn't remember that he used to be a journalist for a magazine.
Yeah, I had forgotten that. And I had also, when Allison Janney walked on the screen, I was like, what? I had completely forgotten she was in this.
Yeah, but what is like, when we ask this question, it's a bit more, it's like, would you remember like the key aspects of the movie? And it's like, the answer is definitely yes. Is there anything artistic about it?
Yes. And it's Alan Ball.
Okay, Alan Ball, the script is pretty good. I agree with it. I like the directing. I like the cinematography quite a bit. Yep. I know that it's a bit more theatrical, but I love that they do a lot of really cool takes without falling into the symmetry and just opening the angle or anything. It's like, no, it's classical, beautiful shots.
I think the theater of the director really balanced out kind of the outrageousness of Alan Ball sometimes, and it really edited him down in a nice way, and it's a very nice pairing, and it made for a great movie.
Yeah. Do you think that is a timeless piece?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we already mentioned it. That is all of these elements is that you can imagine them in American suburbia right now.
And you just find new meanings. As time go by, you're like, oh, it applies now in a new way, in a grosser way. And,
Yep. Would you turn it into a TV show directed by Alan Ball, maybe?
I'm just gonna go with no on this one. I don't want to touch this. It's just it's so close to perfect. Let's not mess with this.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, I think that he did something pretty close to this. When did 6 Feet Under start?
I think it was 97, because didn't it finish in 2002?
2001.
It ended in 2001?
Was the first episode. No, it started in 2001.
Oh, whoa. I was way off.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that, hey, it feels... So American Beauty was Sam Mendes' first movie, is when it started his career. And I think that probably after winning the Oscar for the script, Alan Ball, is that he actually opened the door for talking with HBO and just having like a bit of a, hey, I want to have like a comedy drama, because you can see like the same 6 Feet Under, it also has like elements of comedy, you know. So I had the feeling that it's like he went with the idea of, hey, I want to develop like what I was doing earlier with just like suburbia, family dynamics and pursuit of beauty, like turn it into a TV show.
I mean, you can see so many elements. I mean, the exact music in American Beauty is in 6 Feet Under, and that those string elements. I mean, literally, it's the exact same music, and then the awkward daughter. Like, you can see he was just warming up for 6 Feet Under in American Beauty. It's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. So I agree with you. I wouldn't make it a TV show, but seeing what he did with 6 Feet Under is like, I'm pretty sure that he could make it work.
That's a strong argument. I don't disagree with you. I'm not going to change my answer, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. I'm also going with no, because I don't want to turn this into a TV show. He did it, with some differences, of course, but and he couldn't make it work. But for me, it's like this is such a small, but self-contained story that is like, I don't think that you will win anything because every single character has a character development associated with them, except Alison Janney. So from that perspective, it's like, why do I need more? I got a perfect rounded movie for me. Why change it?
That's a good point. I was thinking specifically about Ricky. Like, what more would we get if we see what happens to him and Thora Birch in New York? Literally nothing. Yep. Nope.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they don't leave. But we don't know, But that's the part of I don't care either, because this is not about them. It was more about Lester, and it's like around like all of the characters that orbit around him.
Do they ever establish where they live, where their town is?
No, I was discussing this with my boyfriend, and I think that we were suggesting like close to New York. So when they actually says, like, "Oh, we're going to New York," maybe it's in New York State. It was a bit more like, maybe this is a bus away, a bus drive.
All right.
So, could this have been a short?
I don't think so, and I only say that just because it didn't feel like 2 hours and 2 minutes, so I don't think there was any fat at all. And again, like you said, like there was, like everything is important, so no.
Yeah, I will go with no too. I feel like for just the takeaway, like the emotional impact, I needed to stay for this long, for these 2 hours. I wouldn't have trimmed anything. Is that I don't think that is 100% perfect, but I don't think that there is anything that I would say is I could have exactly the same emotional impact if I had removed this. If I had removed like the story of the wife, is like no. Everyone has to have like a tragedy associated with them. I would even like to see like some director's cut that it has like 15 more minutes with a bit more of development or introspection over Alison Janney's character. Because it's a bit of a glaring thing that is the only character here that it doesn't have anything associated with that.
It's recently it was awards season, and you and I have been talking about how we don't know much, or at least I don't know much about the editing categories. I would love to see Alan Ball's first shooting script and to see the final like edited film and what was edited out, because I would guess there was very strong editing in this film and that it probably should have won the editing Oscar. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was nominated. The editing was nominated. But yeah, I agree with you. There may has been like a lot of stuff that it was streamed because the packet is super lean. And having like a 2 hours movie that it feels like super lean, it's refreshing. Let's go with that. Do you think that this movie could have been better?
So the only thing I can think of, and it's literally just a result of this conversation, is tell me a little bit more about Allison. That's all. But it's not a major complaint. So I guess my answer is technically yes.
Okay.
But that feels shitty to say. But yes.
I'm going to go with no. I made that point, because it's like one thing is like I would like more, and another one is like, hey, this movie could have been better if it has been in, because I don't know, maybe they had it on the script. Maybe this is like one of those situations that it would be fun to also like check the original script and just see if there were more development, more scenes with Alison Janney.
I'm guessing there was at least a storyline with her.
But maybe it was developing the character of Chris Cooper as a abuser more, because it seemed implied, but we don't see anything. The only violence is towards his kid.
Well, I actually... Was this based on a novel?
I don't know.
No, it was an original script.
Nice.
Damn it.
You were thinking about reading.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, actually, American Beauty won for cinematography,
yeah.
not for editing. Yeah.
No, yeah. What I'm saying is I would love to see who won for editing and see the first draft of the shooting script and see what actually ended up being in the film.
Yeah, so I will go with no. I agree with your point that it could have been interesting seeing like more of this character because it feels like such a deliberate decision. But maybe there is like some takes that I did and it's when they realize about like, hey, this actually may change the tone a tiny bit more. If Chris Cooper comes across as an even more egregious abuser, is that I think that the tone have been a bit darker. And maybe that was like a bit of a decision of let's balance things out. Cool. And I think that those were all of the questions. Maybe we should score now. Unless this was this was my pick. I think that you have to score first.
This is a tough one to score because it's obviously not La Ventura, but it's pretty damn close for me. So I'm going to give this one a rare quarter point, and I'm going to go with a 9.25.
9.25. Okay. My score is a 9. I debated it also a lot. A part of me is still like concerned. That is like, hey, is this because I'm a bit, how do you say, like nostalgic? That is like, hey, I'm trying to recapture the moment. But it's like, dude, how it hits me, like those last 10, 15 minutes when everything resolves is like, no, this was good. This was actually like pretty freaking good. And I was like so engaged across the movie that this may be my favorite Blake genre movie of rich people in the suburbs being happy.
I didn't even think about this. This is exactly my genre. Yep. Upper middle class white people being sad. It's exactly...
Yeah, I mean, we started with little children, we have like the snowstorm, was it?
The ice storm, yep.
Oh, there's a storm.
Those are great.
Yeah, the ice storm. You gave the same score to the ice storm than to this.
Wow. Damn. I do have the same taste. It's interesting what you say about like, I know that about myself. I have to be careful about scores because I know that there's a halo effect. If I see a film at a film festival, I get better scores, right? But with American Beauty, I've seen it like 15 times at this point over 20 years. Fairly certain this is a 9.25.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And for me, it was more of this was like one of the first movies that I said is like, I think that this is good. That this is like above everything else that I've watched. I think that this is like an amazing thing that I'm going to be remembered. And let's just joke that is that this came like a year after Armageddon. Armageddon was like my eye-opening experience of this is shit. This is bad. I'm sorry, I know that there is a Criterion edition for it.
I was just going to say, you can't talk about the Criterion collection like that.
I know. But it was like the point, like an eye-opening about like everyone was like mind-blown with this movie. And it's when I realized that it's like, hey, maybe what differentiates me is not so much that I like men, and it's that I like good cinema.
That's your real cross to bear.
That's my exactly. I know that we joke from this. It's like, my cross is actually not setting up when someone says like, "Oh my god, I love the last Marvel movie," and it's like, okay, let's just talk. Instead of letting them like just pass and say, "Oh wow, how was it? Tell me, why did you love it?" It's a bit more about like just getting to the fight. So I keep doing the same, and I think that American Beauty was like one of my movies of I need to tell everyone that they need to watch this movie because it's amazing. And it's going to be like changing their lives. The what? Probably as I see it with a couple of people, but what I heard back, it was a bit more is that it's a bit pretentious. It's a bit artsy.
Oh.
But I think that it makes fun of the being artsy.
when I was watching these movies, I was Mormon, and Mormons aren't allowed to watch movies that are rated R. So not only could I not tell people I couldn't recommend it, I couldn't even tell people I had seen it. So I'd like watch this movie, and I couldn't even talk about it. I'd be like, guys, I just saw this movie. No, it was Talladega Nights. Yeah, it was great. Go watch Talladega Nights.
That's hilarious. But no, this, as we said, is that this is a movie that holds, and I think that people should watch it. And the thing is, like, okay, Kevin Spacey character is a creep, but everything else, I had the feeling that by nowadays standards, it's pretty safe.
It is. And actually, he goes through a pretty decent character redemption, to be honest. I don't want to defend him too much. I'm not defending Kevin Spacey, total asshole.
No, he's the character.
Yes. So, I don't know. I really respect this film. Good pick, Jose. Real good pick. Well done.
Happy to hear that. To everyone out there listening to us, thank you so much for putting with us. Remember, subscribe, like.
And until next time.
Bye.